Why are we making a French onion pot roast when it's hot outside? Because it's what I want and it's not hot in my house. So anyway, there are two things I don't negotiate in this house: my morning coffee and letting my bread rise in peace. So before starting anything, I got my coffee going because nobody deserves this version of me until caffeine has had a chance to intervene and I got to have a little quiet time before starting anything for the day. Once that was going, it was straight into bread mode. I measured out my yeast and then bloomed it with warm water and a little molasses until it was nice, fat, and foamy, just how I like it. That's how you know it's alive and ready to work with. You don't have to do this, but I like to cover my yeast while I wait for it to come alive. And once it does, I sift in the flour, throw in the salt, give it a good little mix, add in a little bit of oil, and mix everything together really well so that there's no dry flour left over. And I want it to already, form a soft dough. And then I just cover it and tuck it away to rise. And while the dough was doing its thing, I turned my attention to the star of today's dinner, honey, that chuck roast. I rubbed it down with some oil and seasoned it generously with salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. No measuring, just seasoning from muscle memory. I know it's enough when I know it's enough. Then I let it marinate while I enjoyed a little uninterrupted coffee time, because if the bread gets to rest, guess what? So do I. So I decided to make me a cute little cafe noisette, watched my neighbor chase her crazy dog that got loosed, and then just kind of enjoyed some quiet time before getting right back to that bread. Once the dough was doubled in size, I deflated it, dumped it out onto a floured surface, and then just began to knead it. And then I shaped it into the 2 loaves that I needed for tonight's dinner. And as you can see, I'm just kneading each thing after dividing it into 2 sections, rolled it out flat into a little rectangle, and then folded it some more, put it on the baking pan seam side down, drizzled the loaves with a little bit of olive oil and coarse sea salt, and then I just covered them again to give them time to rise. Once my husband's granny's Dutch oven was screaming hot, I went ahead and seared that chuck roast on all sides. We want it to be as brown as we can get it because that's where all the flavor is, and we chasing that. Threw in some butter, a reasonably unreasonable amount of onions. Trust me, it's a lot until it's not. Threw in some sugar to help it along the way, a little flour, a little garlic, threw in some red wine. Please make sure it's one you would actually drink. Then goes in the beef broth, a little Worcestershire. We put that roast back in there, add our fresh herbs, bake it in the oven until it is fork tender. Throw on some freshly grated Gruyère and parsley, back into the oven on broil. Baby, I know you see it. I know you see it. We're going to go ahead and tuck that into these potatoes, drizzle it with a good amount of that French onion jus from that roast. Yes. And then I went ahead and paired it with the French bread, obviously, that we made, and then some yummy, herb honey glazed carrots. And this right here is why I cook from feeling. When I follow the craving, the food always has more salt.